Hey, what's going on, y'all? Welcome back to JT's Mixtape. This is episode number 74. And if you guys are enjoying these podcasts, please give me a 5-star review on either Apple or Spotify. And if you're watching on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button. Thank you.
Come closer, my child.
What's going on, y'all? This podcast is brought to you by Modern Roots Life. Modern Roots Life is a Christian-owned and operated company, and it's bringing real health back to its roots. They offer powerful, all-natural health supplements such as beef liver, cod liver oil, beef tallow, magnesium, and mineral-rich salts, all sourced the way God intended. Clean, simple, and from the earth. So whether you're looking to boost your energy, restore mineral balance, or just fuel your family with real nourishment, Modern Roots Life has got you covered. Guys, in this community, we're trying to get healthy in our mind, in our body, and our spirit. So don't neglect your health. If you want more information, check out modernrootslife.com and check the link in my description. You know, people often ask me how they can support me. Well, I think it's pretty cool if you can support me by supporting the people who support me, and you get something in return. And being healthy is a pretty good return. Well, family, we're back once again. We got the whole crew together. We got Aaron, Tune Thy Heart. What's going on, Aaron?
What's up, everybody? Happy to be here.
And then we got Brian, the Demon Eraser. What's going on, Brian?
Nothing much. We're in our matching attire today. Apparently.
Yeah, we're going hardcore. This is going to be a banger. So we got our fatigues on. We got our army green on. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so before we kind of get into the meat of the videos, this is kind of more me and Aaron conversation because Brian doesn't watch TV. Aaron got me turned on to the show Paradise. And so the end of season 2 just dropped on Monday. Now, this is going to be spoilers. If you guys are watching this show, you guys might want to just ignore this part. Or maybe this will make you want to watch the show. Aaron, first thoughts on the end of Paradise season 2.
I mean, I could have never expected for them to drop what they did. I mean, so the whole premise, to catch everyone up that maybe didn't see the previous videos, was there's a hidden bunker underground that is basically a mini city in America, and it's got its own sunlight, it's got its own moonlight, it's got its own panels. It's basically like an enclosed little mini firmament within the earth in Colorado. And in reality, there's a lot of speculation about things in the mountains in Colorado, right? So
absolutely,
I know there's a military base there, and there's a bunch of other.
The Cheyenne Mountain Complex literally was formerly called NORAD, and it does have what they call a mini city under a mountain,
right?
Yeah, like Colorado Springs area.
So like it felt, the show itself, although there's like side drama and its own storyline, felt like Disclosure. I mean, to be honest with you. So there's all this other drama, all this stuff coming up, and they were kind of teasing at like this hidden person in the show. And I had said to you, I was like, I think it's AI. I think it's an AI system. So we find out it is an AI system, but then we find out that this AI system that these people built in the very last episode is super deep underground beneath the Colorado airport.
Yeah.
The Denver airport.
Yeah, DIA. And so the very end of the season, they're kind of showing like a satellite view, and they're zooming down, and where did they end up with the last camera shot? It's Lucifer.
Yeah.
Like Lucifer is who they show. It's like so yeah, the whole idea was that
Wait,
so
the
everybody
horse
was
in real life. They like literally showed the actual horse.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So season 1 is all about that they were prepping for this. Well, it's kind of flash forward, flashback in the show. It's like it's always kind of going to the present time when they're in the bunker, and then they're showing all the lead up to this cataclysm that involves some kind of super volcano in Antarctica that leads to tsunamis, and then eventually some kind of nuclear holocaust or something like that. Something that happens that makes it uninhabitable on the inside, on the surface of the earth. So then as the season 2 goes on, like there's all this kind of these factions that break down, and obviously evil elite people are controlling the bunker. And so yeah, the season ends with saying there's actually a second bunker. And that's where this thing called Alex is, that was this AI system. But you know what's really fascinating about this AI system they're creating? Of course, it's a supercomputer that they can't really figure out how it's doing all the things it's doing. It's answering questions about the future before they even
Yep.
ask the questions. And then it's even throwing in this wrinkle in the show about that it's messing with time. It's
Yeah.
messing with space and time. It's messing with like even organic material, like people exist that should not exist and things like that. It's really weird. It's kind of like that idea that they're showing you that this AI is creating like almost a Mandela effect.
Right, right. Yeah, no, there's definitely like some certain elements in there that are tied into the whole prospect of
How does
what it is.
how does it create stuff?
Um, well, we don't know. We really don't know because they kind of they kind of teased it toward. I guess they've teased it a little bit from the very beginning of season 2 about there's this thing where they have all these nuke reactors that are powering the city, and then they're hinting that something that the other people in the bunker don't know about, even all the really high level officials in there, they don't know why that certain power is getting siphoned off to go to some other place. So they're teasing that it ends up being it's powering this AI.
But they don't show you they don't actually reveal that this computer even exists until the literal last episode of the second season. So there's not a lot of time spent on the hows and the whys or anything like that. But the whole premise of it being underneath the Denver airport was crazy in and of itself, especially after the location of the bunker. But when they did that scene where they came up to the surface and then they showed that horse at the very end, I was like, dude, they really want us to know they're not playing around. Like they really want us. I don't know, man. I don't know how it all works. All I know is that they absolutely tell us the truth in TV and movies. They've been doing it for a really long time. That's a very oddly specific thing to claim with all of the Denver airport conspiracies.
Well, yeah, it's kind of a situation too where I'm sure the normies would say, well, obviously they're just leaning into the conspiracies because that it's already a thing. Even the
Yeah.
Denver airport itself leans into those conspiracies because they've had those billboards up that say like it's the world's weirdest airport. It says something about like the aliens and stuff are related to it, and I can't remember what else we were watching. They were talking about the idea that Area 51 is famously where people saying, "Are they keeping the spaceships and the aliens?" But under Denver airport, people have hinted that it's actually Area 52. Like this is actually probably where the real stuff's happening.
Yeah.
So of course, you guys have probably if you guys follow this podcast for any length, you know that I've done a lot of stuff talking about the Denver airport. In one of my videos, I made like a 17-minute YouTube video about it. And I theorized, yes, that people had talked about before, or I wasn't necessarily the one to theorize it. I was talking about people's theories that the Cheyenne Mountain Complex is 90 miles south of Denver, DIA. And so we know that they created all this underground stuff under the Denver airport. That's not even a conspiracy. That's a fact.
Yeah, there's proof.
And so what people have theorized, like, could there be a connected tunnel system that leads to the Cheyenne Mountain Complex and NORAD and all that stuff? Now, they haven't specifically said that, but it actually does make sense in this show that we know that wherever this bunker is, it's kind of just in the mountains. Like they don't say where it's at, but it could very likely be that the main city that's Paradise is under Colorado Springs, somewhere in the mountains there.
It looks like Cheyenne though, like
When they showed like
in
the big
mountains.
door opening up, it does look like. I mean, of course, I've looked into Cheyenne Mountain Complex a bunch, and yeah, it does look like the entrance to it. So they're kind of hinting at things that we obviously know are real.
Mm-hmm.
And so to the extent of like how fictional is this stuff, it's crazy.
And in the show, it's connected, and also in the show, the thing I thought it was interesting was the way that the AI system opens and closes, it looks like CERN. It looks like it's just part of a giant belt, like part of a giant like circle that
A
goes
giant
around.
hadron collider.
Right. And what's crazy about that is that a lot of the images in real life that surfaced of the underground areas that they dug out of the Denver airport were really weird shaped. They were really tall and weird shaped and like very open. And so like, what if there's a hadron collider in underneath the Denver airport?
Well, the thing is, so CERN is not totally unique. Supposedly, it's the biggest one. It's the biggest hadron collider in the world, but it's not the only one. Because I know people when I started looking into CERN, I know that they have one in Tennessee. So the truth is, I have no idea how many of them there are. I don't
You can
think
make
anybody
small
probably knows how
ones.
many there are.
You can make real small ones even. There is like I'll tell you something interesting. Yesterday I talked to somebody that actually was at the Denver. She like was there in Denver when they built that airport, I guess. And she was like talking about how like it was a huge problem. This is just random customer that walked in my shop yesterday that I was like talking to, and just happened to bring this up yesterday and was like telling me about how like it was a big issue in the politics in that area, and that she was involved in like some, I forget what she was saying. I wasn't really paying attention too much, but she was like telling me she was like telling me how like it was like a big problem, and that there was like stuff that they were trying to do to stop it, and that her mayor was like, basically, this is out of our control. We can't do anything about it, even though what they're doing is, she said, it's so far above us, we can't stop it. And the whole town was against it. The whole town nearby was against it. And
No,
they
I
were
mean,
mad because they had another airport there that like was like, we were largely affected, I guess, by it or something.
well, no,
I don't know.
I remember when I did my video, all the research into it was saying that the DIA is like 20 miles outside of Denver. So the previous airport was way more convenient to the people who lived in Denver. So people were like, why, like, why did they have to build it so far out? And the other thing that I learned was that supposedly DIA was built on some kind of sacred Native American burial ground. And I said, so of course I leaned into that when on my video, because they were saying that they had to get Native American elders in there to try to do some kind of ceremony to calm the restless spirits in DIA. And it was saying how they have these kind of Native American kind of subtle music in certain corridors. I forgot which concourse it was, because of the weird anomalies that happen at DIA.
That's weird.
You would think that was made up, but I pulled newspaper articles, and yeah, so there was obviously a lot of people that were in the Native American community that were, against them digging into a place where supposedly they had their ancestors buried. Probably not, and you kind of wonder when they say ancestors, like from how long ago? Was this from the Anasazi? Was this a race of giants that lived there?
It's Nephilim, bro. It's Nephilim they were digging up.
Demons, bro. Oh, but check this out. So I got a video that probably transitions into that. I saw this on Instagram, and this sort of fits.
Okay, so I live in Surrey, British Columbia, and I just took the train to Granville Street in Vancouver, British Columbia. And this is the signs that we have at our metro station, the SkyTrain. They're telling us that the future is going to involve hoarding things and bunkers. It's going to involve robo-dogs. It's going to have stock evangelism. Solar harvesting, and the future involves artificial husbands. Wonderful. I am really looking forward to the future.
How about that?
That's a weird advertisement. Why would they even
I
do
mean,
that?
it could. It's either, I don't even know, dude. An art installation. It feels like it could be some kind of like joke art installation or some kind of like thought piece or something. But that's a lot of money to spend on something that's advertising or not.
It's kind of like the signs at DIA, where it's like it's a joke, but is it really a joke? It's like it doesn't really feel like a joke, because we've talked about this in the past about how in that movie Leave the World Behind, it involves like this giant bunker that's under some mansion somewhere in the Northeast. I can't remember if it was Martha's Vineyard or whatever. But around the same time, so this movie is produced by like the Obamas, and Obama was getting, I forgot how many gallons of propane or something like that. The tanks he was getting involved was like 50,000 gallon propane tanks, which would only be used for industrial use. Nobody's private residence would need that much propane. But, there's the rumors that there's a giant bunker under there. And then we had in Hawaii, I want to say Zuckerberg was putting in a massive bunker. Some other really big rapper, I think, was doing that too. And so there was, so around this time, there was lots of stories about the elites building these huge bunkers.
Yeah, it's totally bunkers. Or what does that even mean? Like, why would it
Bonkers.
even say?
It was a play on bonkers.
Yeah, I get it, but it was just like, dude, that's totally not the future is. What was that even? What was that ad for? What was that ad for at all?
But what's interesting in that
Crazy.
ad too, when they showed the robo dogs, do you remember in the show Paradise, they weren't allowed to bring their dogs?
Yeah, it's true.
So you can have a pet little AI robot dog instead.
They're already selling those things too, like privately.
Like, why would you want one of those? They're so
'Cause you're
creepy.
incredibly depressed and lonely. I don't know.
Get a regular dog.
Yeah, because unless they're carrying a Gatling gun on their back, like what good are they? Like what do they do?
Don't give them any ideas, Aaron.
Well, trust me.
Yeah.
I'm getting my ideas from what they've already shown us.
Yeah,
I mean,
they already have them all
again,
done.
that's like totally
I've seen one with
Terminator
a flamethrower
2,
strapped to
the
it.
Terminator series, where these, that was probably the first time I'd ever seen anything that resembled a drone. I guess I didn't make the connection of what I was looking at when you first watched T2, and they're showing the beginning of it. Actually, Terminator 1, they show it too when they flash forward to the future, and then there's these drones flying around, patrolling every place. This completely apocalyptic landscape just completely wrecks society.
Yeah, they could do all kinds of stuff, man. They could release gas. They could release little mini EMPs. They could send little shock. I mean, dude, they could wreck people with those things.
Mm-hmm.
But so what's interesting, again, to kind of tie back into the idea of these bunkers and the idea that we've talked about many, many times, is how massive could the extent of tunnels and bunkers be under the earth that's literally under our feet? And it's been there for a long time. So this has been my idea that the old world got buried. So a lot of the tunnel infrastructure was already in place. But over the past, I don't know, let's say past 100 years, they've retrofitted it. They've put their own tech in it. Or maybe they've been able to harness some of the old tech. So one of the ideas that people have had is the idea of these kind of transcontinental trains that go underground that are like magnetic, and they can get to places incredibly fast. Even, I said in my Denver airport video, I mentioned, so in the 30s, after World War I, France was supposedly prepping for a potential conflict with Germany again, and they created something called the Maginot Line. And this is this massive bunker, underground fortress complex that stretches out, I want to say 250 miles. I'm not sure if all of it's underground, but so in the 30s, the French created this complex where they had electric trains under there. That was back in the 30s. So what could they do today, and what do they have today? And I thought this video was maybe could give you a hint of what they might have.
In 1972, Rand Corporation published a study on underground maglev trains, 14,000 miles per hour, coast to coast in 21 minutes.
Wait, what? That was 1972?
Document P-4874. available with 1972 technologies. Then it disappeared from public discussion.
Let me guess. Conspiracy theory?
Japan built one, Chuo Shinkansen, 90% underground, 603 kilometers per hour, world record in 2015, operational.
So the technology exists.
Phil Snyder testified about 131 underground bases connected by maglev. 3 months later, dead, ruled suicide.
Of course it was.
The technology exists. The funding exists. The testimony exists. What else are they building underground?
So,
I think, I mean, we've talked about it before. I think that there is just a whole world and civilization underground that we don't know about.
How fast could the train go again across the United States?
well, it was saying this one could go 14,000 miles an hour. Now, this was in some report. I don't know if this was theoretical that they could build something that could do this. And so, of course, the real world example they used was something in Japan that goes, 623 kilometers an hour, which is, what is that? Is that like 400 miles an hour? Something like that?
Yeah, somewhere between 400 and 500.
So way less than 14,000 miles an hour. But I guess the truth is, when, when we were kids, the first roller coasters we went on, obviously they seemed very basic. But then there was a certain point where they started to have, I don't know, some kind of magnet technology where they could take off super fast. So like, what's really stopping them from like putting that on a bigger scale?
I remember reading, probably like in the late 20-teens, about technology that had been found, like old technology that had been found that allowed them to be able to catapult using magnets from one side of the world to the other. Like literally, like fast and like through the air. And it was like a launch and a delivery system that was based on magnets. So it was like a very, very like high speed, but like completely safe in terms of like the way it launched and the way that it landed, because it was using magnets to both send and receive the whatever transported them. And I was like, dude, that's like not even out of the realm of like, that's completely, if you think about that, like on a small scale, I mean, have you ever played with magnets? And seen what they do when you push them together and they don't want to be together? Like the force that's involved in that. Like I could totally see something like that.
Well,
Which
they
that
have
would
coil
be
guns.
a pretty much free energy too. It's not something that they would need. Like if the
Well,
magnets
they're
were there.
they're electromagnets. They're not just standard magnets. You have to electrify them, and there's like coil guns, and the coil guns can shoot things, projectiles, and you can push through things. And I think there was another one was like you said rides, but in California there's Magic Mountain, this place, and they had this ride called Superman, and it was the world's tallest, fastest roller coaster. I don't know if you if it was like, was that promoted to the whole world? Does everybody know what the Superman roller coaster is?
I heard about that. So that was,
I don't know, but I went on it.
Yeah, I went on it too.
so that was
several times.
Six Flags?
Yeah, Six Flags Magic Mountain. And so
Yeah, because I think whenever they built it, it was either the tallest or the fastest. Maybe it was both.
It was both. Yeah, tallest and the fastest. And it was just like, it was like a gun. It was electromagnet, and it's just like a gun, just boom, and it just like shoots you out, and you just go straight up, and then you go fall back down. It's the shortest roller coaster in the world, and the line for it was like so long. It was like you waited that line for like 2 hours,
It wasn't
and
worth it.
and the ride is like literally like not even like
It was
2
too
minutes.
fast.
It's not
The
even a
line was
minute.
too slow, and the ride was too fast.
And they brought you face to face with a plastic Superman, and then he fell backwards.
Yeah. There's a Superman sideways at the top of it, and it just like boom, and then you go straight up, and then you fall back down. That's it.
Well, the whole
But, yeah,
concept, though,
pretty
that if they do have a complex of tunnels and bunkers, well, it would only be natural that they would have a train to move the people between them. Because if the scenario like what they're describing in that show Paradise, if there's anything to it, well, then the outside, the surface of the Earth is a giant mess. So they're outside of the time where they'd be using planes because they don't want to go to the surface. So they would need this complex of trains connected by tunnels.
Doesn't Elon Musk have the Boring Company because it's boring, like digs, but he's like play on words to call it the Boring Company.
Yeah,
Like-
he's got a whole underground. There's a whole underground drive path for Teslas to drive in Las Vegas.
Yeah, it's called, and like, but he has that company called the Boring Company, supposedly, where it's like digging, the digging company.
I literally just saw something crazy that was I think it was something in China, and it was some kind of a giant boring machine. And it was ridiculously massive. You guys seen that?
No,
Gosh, I need to find it.
but I do have a transition video for China. Considering we talked about the Wall of China last time, so
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
okay.
We can come back to this topic. We got
Listen,
more to say about it.
Guys, listen, the Boring Company creates safe, fast to dig, and low cost transportation utilities, and freight tunnels. That's literally what his Boring Company does.
Yeah, not surprised. He's up
That's
in
the
the
one-
skies and he's down on the earth.
Yeah, that's what sells the flamethrower. You can buy the flamethrower from him. My flamethrower is better, but whatever.
So last week, I believe it was last week, we talked about the Great Wall, the movie The Great Wall,
Mm-hmm.
and how in the movie they were fighting these crazy beasts. So this is pretty wild.
So is this why the Great Wall of China was built? Check out this 1640 map. Look at these crazy drawings. These are all right next to, look at this, the Great Wall of China. This is a Tartar China map, an Asia map, and look at these crazy drawings. Comment, let me know what you think these are, what they look like. And look at that. It's crazy looking. Just all the different ones. Here's a translation too. I didn't get a chance to translate it. I've done it before, but it just talks about mystical creatures, and they're led by this one crazy looking creature with a spoke and fork or whatever. Diabolical, as they say. Interesting, right? Right next to the wall, which has always said to keep the Tartars out, but as we've always seen the wall, it just doesn't make sense. So comment, let me know what you think. We also got Gog and Magog in here, so just so you can see Mongol. Just so you know, Mongol is Magog. And then also here.
How crazy is that?
I saw that video. That was in my collection of videos to play because, yeah, I saw that. And yeah, truth is stranger than fiction. These old maps often show sea monsters all over the map, all over the oceans. And so, yeah, it's really strange that they have these monsters surrounding the Great Wall.
Right on the other side of the Great Wall, facing the Great Wall.
Right.
Like, dude, another situation where it's, and also too, like, why in the world? So in an industry where allegedly it's about making money and making stars and, fame and all that kind of stuff. We know the three-letter agencies infiltrated Hollywood a long time ago. We know that. Not everyone knows that or understands that or even what that means. But why in the world would anyone even write a script that something like the Great Wall was used to keep out actual beasts and fight beasts? Like, we're not clever enough to come up with stories like that, dude.
I mean, it's certainly a situation where there was mythologies about that idea. Now, again, mythologies don't necessarily mean they're facts, but I always believe at this point that the mythologies came from a place of truth.
For real, yeah.
So the idea that, medieval people, I mean, because you really think about the idea that I've done a few podcasts. I know I did one with Doc Brown, and we were talking about this mysterious king in kind of the land of India, Tartaria area named Prester John. And supposedly he had this kingdom that was surrounded by a wall. It had griffins. It had like the people that are just like had like the foot on their heads. It had the ones without the heads, and they were just torso looking people. It had living waters. No sinful people could enter this place. And of course, I know people in this audience are getting Millennial Reign vibes of like, who was this king? He was the King of Kings, Prester John, and he was Christian. So without getting into all that millennial reign idea, it's just a situation where the Europeans had this legend of this king that was over in that area. The obvious is they don't really know what's happening over there. So by the time you see like the first Europeans, maybe at least the first Europeans were told about going over there, would have been like a Marco Polo situation where he wrote about dragons in his diary. So what if when the Europeans did get there, they were like, what is this? What is this wall? And so they might have got legends from people that were around there, and they had the same kind of legends of this was to protect against not people, not Mongols, not Tartarians, not Chinese. They were protecting people against these monsters that lived in that area.
I mean, like Great Wall of China was referred to as the rampart of Gog and Magog. And so it's like the rampart of Gog and Magog is what it actually says. And so like Tartaria, to me, like when I look at this, like Tartaria on a map, anytime you see Tartaria, it's Tartarus. It means hell. It means Tartary. It means don't go there. And so so there's a lot of places on maps in America and in Europe and all over where they draw the line and they say this is Tartary or this is Tartaria or this is Tartarus. And then there's one region specifically in Europe where that region became a nation. It was like a bunch of people went into that region and they said like, hey, we're that region that everybody doesn't want to go into this line where it's Tartary. Well, oh yeah, we're the ones that own that land. We're Tartary, the nation. And so they like went into that land declaring themselves king. But on old maps, wherever you see Tartary, it's Tartarus. It just says there be giants or there be monsters or like the monsters live. I was looking for that map just now trying to find it. But it's the Magog and Gog is all tethered to the Red Jews. If you look up the Red Jews and you look up the history of it, bro, it's all like you'll see so much connection.
In the American Antiquities and Discoveries in the West, it mentions that the Europeans believe that the 10 lost tribes basically mix with the Scythians and then they mix with the Tartars. So could be something there.
Really quickly, that same guy has a map that he's shown that was similar in style, but it showed Tartaria, and within Tartaria, it showed subcities, and it would specifically mention the density of Christians
Really?
in
Wow.
those cities. Yes.
That's
It would
fascinating.
say like heavily populated Christian city. It literally would say like those words, or that was like the translation of the words underneath that. And from the north down to the south through the Tartaria area, it was less dense with Christians.
That's fascinating.
Being the most dense with Christians at the north.
Right. Well, it makes sense, again, that the Tartarian, quote-unquote, architecture, a lot of it involved these basilicas and churches.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so look, I found the boring machine, or potentially a boring machine. Check this out.
Dude, that is massive.
That's crazy looking.
Yeah, what is that? Is that a boring machine or is that an artificial sun?
That looks like it's AI or something, dude. That can't be real.
It could be fake.
That's got to be AI.
It looks pretty real the way it's zooming in and everything like that.
I don't know. Most
Bro.
AI videos are 8 or 10 seconds. That one's 12. So I know some.
Well, also,
no, I'm serious.
You know, most AI videos would not be kind of zooming in all awkwardly like that was. That looked like somebody using a phone.
The only reason I would say it's probably a boring machine more so than an artificial sun is because the artificial sun, all of the artificial suns that they've created, because I know China did launch one. There's tons of test footage of it. They're round. They're round. That one's long, and most of the boring machines are long like that. They're only circular on the side that's digging into the mountain. So my bet's on boring machine, because it looks almost exactly like the boring machines that Musk uses, just bigger.
We'd have to maybe go do some research into when they dug the Gothard Tunnel. You know, it's funny, we've never shown any video from the ceremony that they had over at the Gothard Tunnel when they opened it near, I forget, it's like 30 miles maybe from CERN. And, you know, of course, people were making the connections where they had this completely demonic ceremony when they opened this thing with some kind of a goat demon character and ghosts and giants. And it was
They had hundreds of people involved in that little
so weird
walkthrough ceremony.
But yeah, so that the Gothard Tunnel, I believe, was 17 miles long, and it was straight through granite. So it would have been more difficult than maybe digging under some places. But I mean, it took them, I want to say it took them, oh no, I think it was 35 miles. It was 35 miles straight through rock, and it took them 17 years to do it. So I think that maybe gives you credence to the idea that if there's these tunnel complexes under the ground, it's probably that they were pre-existing, because, you know, 17 years to build one tunnel just to have a train go through there seems less likely that we would be able to create this massive tunnel complex that was under the earth. It was already there.
Yeah, and if you were only planning on having trains go through there, why are you going to hire some deeply occult practiced dancer, orchestrator, whatever, someone to come in and choreograph this crazy ceremony for it? It just doesn't make sense, dude. They're not going to spend that kind of time and money and energy on something that's that insignificant.
Right. Okay, so I want to transition here to the topic of aliens. Are aliens real? Maybe one of our government officials, or maybe former government officials, is giving us a brief introduction to disclosure.
I had someone come and brief me who was in a military uniform, worked for the United States Army, that was briefing me on the locations of hybrid breeding programs where captured aliens were breeding with humans to create some hybrid race that could engage in intergalactic communication. An actual uniformed member of the United States Army briefed me on that.
Non-human biologics, interracial alien mating? What the F is going on? Look, wait a second. You had whistleblowers tell you this kind of thing? Can you please unpack that?
Yeah, I had a guy who was uniformed. He was a senior enlisted with the United States Army. Came into my office in Crestview, Florida, in a non-classified setting. I had members of my staff there, and what they explained is that the military ran a very secret program where aliens that were living were in forced breeding programs with humans that had been abducted from war zones and from even the caravans of migrants. Now, again, I didn't verify this, but what the whistleblower was telling me is that there were like between 6 and 12 locations around the country where this happened. And what he wanted was a group, members of Congress, to all show up at the same time at all of these different locations so that any of those activities could not be moved. And of course, it's a physical impossibility to get members of Congress to simultaneously show up at like 8 locations at one time. And so that never occurred.
What
How about
kind
that?
of nonsense is that? Like, what? Bro, like, come on. Oh, Benny on the, what's his stupid show? Benny something. What is that?
I'm Benny Johnson, I think.
Benny
Is that who
oh,
that
yeah.
is?
And what's the other guy? The other guy's
That was Matt
popular
Gaetz.
too.
He was the
Matt Gaetz.
former congressman from Florida.
Oh my gosh. Like, yeah. Oh, yeah.
That guy was supposed to be the attorney general, but
wow.
he had issues, and then so
Oh.
they ended up putting in Pam Bondi, because originally Trump
whistleblower showed
nominated
up in
him
my
to be the
office.
attorney general, and then there was all this resistance, and then Gates stepped away, and then Pam Bondi became the AG.
The whistleblower. Why do you call him a whistleblower? What is he? What did he blow a whistle on? How do you know that wasn't some delusional dude that
He
showed up at your
with
office?
a little kazoo.
He said he was wearing
Yeah.
a uniform, Brian.
Oh, congratulations. He was, been molested and probably all kinds of psychological operations done to him in the military. Congratulations. You're going to believe that guy?
So you don't
Come
trust him, Brian. That's what you're saying.
No, I trust him completely. It's totally true.
Okay,
Facts
well,
all the way through. Facts all the way
yeah, I
through.
mean, of course, this is a psyop. But again, when we talk about quote unquote aliens, what if the aliens are not from outer space? They're from the dumbs. They're from inside the earth.
Well, it is a hybrid program. It's hybridizing
It's a
angels
Nephilim
and
hybrid
humans.
situation.
Nephilim hybrid program, and it's just misinformation trying to get you into like, oh, they're part of special breeding program. No, they're not. Fool, they're demons. We know they're demons. Everybody knows they're demons at this point. Like, you are dealing with demons that had mixed in with humans. It's not some specialized program. You're just a bunch of liars. You're all a bunch of liars.
That's a perfect example, though, of just slop that they will feed the public, because as long as part of the story leads people away from the truth,
Yep.
and it pushes them towards intergalactic beings that are in
Outer
that come from
space.
outer space,
And
as long as that narrative is pushed even just a microcosm, they're diluting things and keeping people from the truth. That's all it is.
They want an us and them a dynamic as well. So if it promotes hatred, or if it promotes division, or these
division
other
between
people,
us and the aliens.
Yeah, between us and other peoples. Period. Because
the other galactic empires.
Well, the thing is, I think I saw some aspect of it, and he was like, there's mixed breed individuals that are among us that you may not even know. And it's like, dude, you are such a lying sack that you're literally just wanting us to like be suspicious of one another to create more division between because people are going to be like, now, oh, what if you're one of the aliens? It's like, bro, you are literally, it's so satanic. It's so satanic. Everything that dude spewed.
Do we know that all the people that are around us are actually humans?
Yes, they're humans. They're humans.
Not all of them.
They're demon possessed humans.
Well, I mean, the thing
humans.
is, it's funny. I just did this podcast with
and they're
John
forgiven
Pounders
by Jesus,
talking about
even if they're aliens.
That, entertaining angels unawares, and the idea that we've floated on this podcast about the devil moonlighting as a man, trying to appear as a man. So, like, the idea that fallen angels are appearing to be humans, I think is totally a valid concept.
I don't think they got that ability anymore. I think they lost that ability when they did what they did.
But that's just your opinion. I mean, the point is that they could, you don't know that they couldn't do that.
Yeah, and so like my thought is this, like Satan wants us to divide us, okay? And so like anything that promotes suspicion of another person, I think is wrong. And so my belief is like we shouldn't be suspicious. We need to love one another. And so
what do you mean we
my
shouldn't be
belief.
suspicious?
We're
supposed to be as wise as serpents, and
but suspicion is different, bro. Suspicion is like accusing one another of something. Like I don't accuse. Like I can say, "Hey, you did this thing."
Say what? Once said. Trust but verify.
Yeah, and so like I can be like, okay, well that was a little weird that you did it, but I'm not gonna like treat you differently and be like, well, you could be a fallen angel, you could be a demon.
What if somebody had split pupils?
Then there's a genetic weird thing that maybe they have Nephilim blood in them, which everybody does.
I think that if I see somebody with snake eyes, I think I'm not going to trust them, Brian.
I think they got demons in them, bro. I deal with demon possessed people all the time, so I've
doesn't mean that's the only thing that exists. Does not mean that's the only thing that exists.
True, I could be wrong, but that's what I see.
To the point of this being a massive psyop, so I did some digging. I did my own research into Matt Gaetz and his family.
Good.
This guy comes from some kind of political family where his dad was in the Senate in Florida. I think his granddad was some kind of a congressperson. I think somewhere up in the Northwest, I believe. But what I found was really interesting is the home that Matt Gaetz grew up in, his dad's house. You guys heard this? Where Matt Gaetz' house was, or what his house was? Oh, I'm glad you guys didn't know this, because you guys are gonna love this.
Is it a haunted house? He lives in some haunted house.
Better. Inside Matt Gaetz' $2.7 million childhood home, and its starring role in Jim Carrey's big screen hit, The Truman Show. This dude grew up in Truman's house.
What?
Of all the homes in America.
What? Are you kidding me? What? Wow.
Right? I said, you can't even make this stuff up. I was looking for some kind of connection with this guy. This guy lived in The Truman Show.
Bro. All a play. It's all a play. It's all fake.
It's so weird, man.
Fake and gay.
But I mean, of course, it's this guy, and of course, it's funny because all the memes of what was the guy's name? Was it Moses or something? Who was the guy who was the main director guy in the Truman Show? Ed Harris. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Wasn't his name Moses or something like that?
I don't remember what his name was.
It was some kind of a biblical name, and the memes are always like, he's sitting there as the director. Now tell him that there's a secret alien hybrid breeding program by the government.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like we're going to do this to Truman now. We're going to show everybody this. That is exactly what it feels like they're doing.
Bro, it's just ridiculous. It's a ridiculous show. It's a show. Just like the moon launch. The April 1st moon. Are you kidding me? Come on, people. Like all of a sudden, spontaneously, we decided we're going to launch a moon launch that nobody knew about and we didn't plan for it. Like on April 1st, there's going to be a moon launch.
On April Fool's Day. So yeah, as we're recording this today on April Fool's, that they are supposedly going to send Artemis 2 to do some kind of flyby the moon. So they're not going to land on the moon. Or we know they're not going to land on the moon anyways, but they're not even saying they're going to land on the moon. They're going to just fly by. They're going to go around it.
Go around the backside, I think.
Go around the dark side of the moon. They're going to go around and then they're going to come back to Earth. And we know it's going to be CGI, and they're doing it on April Fool's Day.
Yeah, we're about to see some AI slop come from NASA in terms of what they see. By the way, Ed Harris's name was Christoph.
So wasn't there another character named Moses in there? I think.
I don't know, man.
I think he worked for Moses.
Maybe.
Okay, Christoph. Okay, for Christoph. Okay, yeah. So Christoph.
Have you guys heard of all of the different conspiracies about like what's going on this first week of April?
Oh, well, I mean, Brian and I talked about that guy Chris Bledsoe had some kind of a weird prediction about April 5th in this star of Regulus is supposed to be in alignment with the Sphinx, and then it's going to lead to this expansion of consciousness to the masses or something.
Did you see that in Australia?
Is that what you're talking about?
It was like red. The whole sky went red in Australia.
And
also
I'll play that
Texas.
video real quick. Yeah, I do have that. I do have a video for that.
Well, take a look at this. Something straight out of a horror movie. Skies turned red, bright red in Western Australia before a tropical cyclone made landfall Friday before weakening in the Indian Ocean. I just really can't believe that sky. It's just something incredible to see. We won't be seeing that here, Cassie, because
I've never seen that ever.
I've never seen that in my life.
No, that almost looked like it wasn't real.
Yeah. It looked like the set of a movie.
These titles that these conspiracy theorists put over the top of the videos, dude.
God is about to punish the world for its crimes.
Dude, I look, it's crazy. I look at that stuff now and I understand how people felt back in the day when I was going hard on conspiracies and just making blanket stupid claims like that, claiming to know exactly what this was and exactly what that was and exactly what was coming and like, it's the end, guys, get ready, prepare yourselves, like nonstop doom and gloom. And so I see that now, dude, running rampant, and it's just like, oh my gosh, you guys, it's embarrassing. Come on.
I don't know, man. I'm telling you, if I walked outside and the sky looked like that, I would probably say something bad.
You'd probably drop to your knees and repent.
Right, with the Lord.
God, forgive me for whatever I've done, whatever I didn't know that I did.
Commit your life to Jesus for the 49th time.
Well, I mean, it's funny. I was actually talking to Postmodern the other day, and I was talking about how the idea of there was an account in the 1st century by this Pliny the Elder that mentioned that a earthquake in Asia Minor consumed like 12 cities. Like in the middle of the night, like these places were like fell into the earth by this massive earthquake. And so we know based on ancient accounts that if there was an eclipse, that's a bad omen for something happening. And of course, if you read the Bible, it basically saying the same thing. There was an eclipse when Jesus was crucified. And also the idea that when the 6 seals open, that the sun is not going to give its light anymore. So, I mean, that could certainly be describing an eclipse, something happening. So natural disasters, definitely to them, And I think, to me, I guess we don't know if they're natural all the time now, but natural disasters are seen as acts from God. And you're talking about corrupt Roman cities being swallowed up by the earth. I mean, that could definitely have been God's hand in that. I mean, of course, nothing happens like that without God's permission. So you see a red sky like that and a cyclone's about to make landfall. Are they wrong if they say this is from God?
I mean, not necessarily, but to say that everyone's about to pay for their
Maybe some people
sins
are.
because of I mean, but no, I mean, so that's one of the other things about April 5th is that I guess I might botch this. Someone in your comments will probably know, but the amount of days that it's been from April 8th, 2024, when that eclipse happened, to the literal day, April 5th, is
Don't
like
say it's 666 days.
No, it's like 763 or something,
Okay.
but it's got something, I don't know what like the significance of the number was, but like there's something to do with that, and it ties into some kind of a prophecy of something crazy happening. And so that's just one of many things, but like more than all of that, there's been like a bunch of kids. If you look online, there's been like a bunch of like young kids saying crazy things,
Like last
tons
week
of
when we
people.
played that.
Yeah, but there's been like more kids saying like tons of people are about to die, and saying like a bunch of crazy things are about to happen. Like next week. They're saying next week. They were saying this last week.
Well, happy
So
Easter.
obviously we're praying against all of that stuff. And actually, you know what? No, we're praying for the Lord's will, because listen, my stance is whether he takes me up in a fluffy cloud, or he opens up the earth and it swallows us whole, or we get hit by a nuke, it doesn't really matter how we get there, right? As long as it's not slow and torturous.
Right. It's to live is Christ and to die is gain. So if that's
right.
the way that the Lord deems to take us out, well, then there's nothing you can do about it anyway. So you might as well just accept it. Speaking of fluffy clouds that we could be taken up in, I did see this old picture that was really interesting.
Wait. What?
I think you shared that with me, Aaron. What do you think about that old painting?
It's pretty wild, man. I mean, one could say that looks like a flying saucer. Hardly looks like a cloud, but it immediately makes me think of all of those, was it the Byzantine era coins that have Jesus on them?
Mm-hmm. Well, the truth is that Jesus does come on a cloud. I mean, it does say that the Son of Man is going to come on the clouds. And so those clouds do resemble like saucer-shaped objects.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I want to say, I can't remember exactly what the psalm is, but it talks about God coming in a cloud. We know in the Exodus story, he came in a cloud. And it mentions that he's hurling out his arrows and maybe even lightning bolts out of it. But of course, we have the movie Independence Day. And, when those gigantic city-sized spaceships show up, they're in a cloud, right? It's only later that they are revealed through the cloud that they are actually ships. They're like these giant clouds coming in.
Yeah, Psalm 104:3 states he makes the clouds his chariot and walks on the wings of the wind.
There's another one I think he's talking about him shooting his arrows out of them.
Yeah, so then Psalm 68:4 talks about exalting him who rides on the clouds. Looks like there's a lot of reference to him in the clouds.
There's a lot.
It's almost like I just think of Goku riding on the little cloud in Dragon Ball.
That's a funny image. And then Isaiah 19:1 reinforces the theme. It talks about he will ride on a swift cloud to come against Egypt.
So I've got another alien video, and this is, I think Brian will like this one. And then I want to transition to talk about the fake moon landing.
There was a really interesting podcast where they'd brought these two Amazonian shamans on the podcast, like full headdress. They spoke their own tribal language. They needed an interpreter in the room. And the guy asked them what they thought about aliens. And they didn't understand the question, didn't know what he meant by alien. He was like thumbing through this book and he put up a picture of a grey. And the tribesmen went, oh, that's Makan Wabu. And they had a whole story about how this was a human that became an ant that lives underground. And it can appear in the divine light, but you should be very careful with this being because it will take your soul underground and you need a very good shaman to bring your soul back. And they were taking it real seriously. Yeah, dude. So it's like these tribal cultures, they know, man.
You think about that, Brian?
Well, yeah, I had seen it before, the ant people, and you can watch the interview of the dudes talking about it. That's like a clip of a clip, but you can watch it, and he's talking about the ant people, and he's like, yeah, they're dangerous, and they come from underground, he says. The shaman does. So it's very interesting.
It's demons, bro. It sounds like demons.
It's definitely demons.
But you know what's funny is that you remember in South Park, did you guys ever watch that show?
No.
You never watched South Park, Brian?
I'm familiar with it, but I've never even seen a single episode.
They were always talking about the crab people that lived under the earth.
Really?
That's funny. It was really, again, it's kind of like it's such a weird thing that, of course, in all the conspiracy stuff we've looked into, I've never really seen anything about crab people. But I don't know. I have a hard time believing they just made that up. Maybe they did. Trey Parker and Matt Stone are really weird. So maybe they did. But yeah, the idea that, again, these things are not aliens from outer space. They're subterranean. I'm always open to that idea that weird type humanoid creatures live inside the earth. And I guess truth be told, that a gray alien, if it was, like on all fours or whatever, it does resemble an insect more than it resembles a person.
With those eyes like that?
Yeah, the eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, and it would make sense if they're coming up from the ground.
The ant people. I mean, that's why they probably call them that.
Yeah, if they're coming up from the ground, and as we know, the pit is underwater or underground. So if these things are coming up from underground and taking anybody, like, again, God is sovereign. So it's like, who are they taking? Like, who are they taking and why are they taking them? And what's their justification? Why are they being allowed to take these people? What I thought was interesting was how they commented on, they didn't comment on getting the people back. They commented on getting their souls back.
Right.
So he was talking about how, like, once they're taken by one of those people, it's really difficult to get their souls back. But he doesn't say anything about getting their lives back or getting the actual people back. And he also talked about, like, seeing them in a specific light.
Yeah, it was something they were like revealed through this certain, was it moonlight or something, or starlight?
Which gives credence to them being interdimensional and something that can only be seen, something from maybe another dimension. I don't know. I used to lean hard towards these things being physical and only having physical bodies. Brian's kind of changed my mind on being open to most of these things being just in the spirit realm or in the demonic realm. And then I think that there is some kind of middle ground where I would have no problem believing that suits were created for the Greys to inhabit because we already know they can possess humans.
I think that's possible.
Yeah, so for them to have their own body that's like optimized for them with the big eyes and the, whatever. I don't know, man. There's so much we don't know.
I think it's possible because of dealing with genetic stuff that I was like sort of involved in, and it was like when I asked all the questions to the geneticists and the scientists and stuff, I was like talking and asking them, and they straight up said that like when they hybridize any two creatures in the zygote stage, it will create something. So like they can make a dragon. Did you know this? They can make a dragon in the zygote stage. You can literally take a lizard and a bat and you can blend it in a zygotic stage and it will create a creature. And it will grow in a little embryo and it will make a dragon. It will start to grow, this little bat lizard thing. And then at a certain point, it will just die. It'll just stop living. It'll just cease to exist. And so I think a lot of these creatures that we were talking about, these hybrid mixed chimera things, that we used to see were because they were not fully one creature or the other. God, the Heavenly Father, did not put a spirit in that creature, but demons can put themselves in those creatures.
Exactly.
And so I think the demons were putting themselves in these, I think they were mixing things and then putting their own spirit, interjecting it into these creatures and giving them life. And I think that's how they were living. And that I think that's still possible that could be going on today. And maybe that's what aliens are. I think aliens are basically a mix, an amalgam of, dolphins and lizards and
Dolphins.
Yeah, bro. I think that's why they're gray, bro. And so dolphins and lizards, and they got big brains, right? And then humans, and then angel Nephilim DNA, and a bunch of other things mixed to create it as most capably genetically similar to humans as they can get it without God putting a soul in it. And so the demons can put their own soul into the body, and then it become a functional suit, if you will, to some degree. And I think that's possible how it's doing it. And I don't, after seeing Jeffrey Epstein stuff too, like I think he was involved in some of trying to create some of that stuff.
So what you were saying, Aaron, too, we're talking about ants being in the earth, and the story about how the way the shaman are describing it sounds way more spiritual and demonic than it sounds like necessarily physical. But of course, in the book of Revelation, we know that there's locusts in the bottomless pit. Locusts and ants, are they really that much different? I mean, even certain ants can fly, right?
Yep.
So they're probably not
Well,
that much anatomically. Do they look that much different? And so in Gears of War, of course, there's locusts in the earth that look way more monstrous than the gray aliens, but still somewhat similar. Pale skin. They typically in that game, they have beady eyes. But that idea that you were just mentioning, that you could try to put somebody's consciousness or the consciousness in a demon in some kind of a meat suit. It was funny. I just sent you guys this article, and I have a follow-up video to go with this, but this is really interesting. A startup has been quietly pitching cloned human bodies to transfer your brain into. It says, since the mid-1990s, scientists have been obsessed with cloning animals. Dolly the sheep famously became the first mammal to be cloned from a cell taken from an adult mammary gland almost 30 years ago in 1996. Transitioning from cloning animal embryos to human ones have been proven far more controversial, not only because of the litany of risks involved. So far, scientists have only gone as far as to generate human embryo model grown stem cells and clone primates from fetal cells rather than adult cells like Dolly.
Liars.
Right. That doesn't stop them from exploring the idea as part of a secretive effort to realize an alternative to anti-aging tech that sounds like it was ripped straight out of a dystopian science fiction novel. A billionaire-backed stealth startup called R3 Bio recently announced that it was raising money to develop a non-sentient monkey organ sacs. Weird. As Wired reported last week, an eyebrow-raising alternative to animal testing. Such structures would contain all typical organs, excluding the brain, ultimately serving as a source for donor organs and tissues. But according to a sprawling follow-up investigation by MIT Technology Review, R3 Bio's founder secretly have far more ambitious goals in mind, creating entire brainless clones for a human body that's aging or ill. Individuals could one day transplant their brain into. One advantage of not developing the brain in the donor bodies, albeit as ghoulish one, such as a brain-free clone would nearly circumvent certain moral conundrums over the concept. What about that?
You know what it makes me think of? It makes me think of Palm Beach Pete. You know Palm Beach Pete?
That's not the guy who got molested by the dolphins in the ocean, is it?
Oh, no.
No, it's Jeffrey Epstein's new sleeve.
Oh, I know you're talking about the guy. Oh yeah, Palm Beach Pete. Yeah, somebody snapped a picture or took a video of this guy while he's driving in his convertible in Florida.
He's become famous.
But dude, he lives in the same property that he once lived in. He used to party with Epstein. He used to there's way too many coincidences just for this dude to just be some random dude named Palm Beach Pete.
The crazy,
he's got the same teeth.
Well, his teeth I think are crooked, but they're not the same. I think they are subtly different. And so the dude looks a little bit different, than Epstein, but he was at the same parties with Epstein, and he's in the same apartment complex in Palm Beach, which Palm Beach is mentioned in Epstein's files multiple times. And they took
That's
a
where
photo
Mar-a-Lago
of,
is.
bro, he took a photo of, there's a photo of Epstein with a background, and there's a video of Palm Beach Pete talking, and it's the same background. They mapped it, and they're like, bro's in the same apartment complex across from each other. And he's like, apparently went to parties with, and he admits on a show that he saw Epstein. And there's an email in one of Epstein's files that says, I saw your clone the other day or something. And like, you're like, wait a second, what do you mean you saw your clone? So apparently this dude is like in the same area, hanging out with Epstein, looks like Epstein. It's, you know, I really gotta wonder, like, was this like dude you know, maybe like they did some experimenting on the guy, knocked him out, and put like some rewrite Jeffrey Epstein cells into his body because he was close enough, and it started like changing the way he looked to start turning into like Epstein, like looking like him to make a clone or something, you know, like, I don't know, man. I don't even know, because he's clearly obviously a different person, in my opinion. I think he's a different guy, but he's definitely like a part of something, because there's no way the amount of similarities in the way this dude looks. He looks like he's absolutely related to Jeffrey Epstein. He's at the very least related.
That premise, and then what you were just reading, JT, that reminds me, and we've talked about it before, there's a TV series called Altered Carbon. And I don't recommend anybody go watch it, because I do remember it being not only grotesquely violent, but very, very graphic sexually, and it's just a rough show. But that whole show is about what they call sleeves, and everything about you is put into this little chip that basically goes into like the back of the neck or the back of the head, and they can pop your consciousness. And everything about you, all your memories, everything, you continue on when they pop you into a new sleeve. And depending on how much money you've got and how much power you've got or whatever, depends on the kind of sleeve that you can have. But it's the whole premise of consciousness transfer, and transferring it to a different body in a new body. And listen, I don't know how all of that works, but we would be very foolish to think that that doesn't exist and that they haven't created something similar to that. But my belief is, based on what we know about how we're created and what we are, I would say that when they do something like that, it's no longer that person anymore. It's just a new iteration. It's like a bastardized new iteration of whatever that person once was, right?
Yeah.
It can't be the same person.
Well, it's, again, we know that if this is possible, if God allows this, then absolutely they're trying to do this or have done this.
Yeah.
Now that's really the only question I have, is that would God allow this to happen? Because I don't know that, besides a sovereign God saying, I'm not going to give this, whatever this abomination is, my blessing to be created, then I think that maybe physically it might be possible through science and witchcraft and all the other stuff that goes along with that.
Yeah, and it would just have to be, so yes, physically, but then I believe whatever they're infusing it with has to be demonic. Whatever is now possessing that body or that sleeve or whatever has to be demonic, or AI, which again, circle back to demonic. Like, it's got to be, it's something that's not real.
Well, and it's a fictitious thing. It would be making up. It would be pretending to be the person. So
Correct.
it'd be like people saying, "Oh, I can transfer my consciousness." Well, guess what? I will tell you from personal experience of dealing with demons, they can read your memories, bro. That's a big misconception. They'll tell you in church, like, demons can't read your thoughts. Bull-larky, bro. I have dealt with them. They can read
They can't read your thoughts.
They can
No,
totally
they
read your thoughts.
No,
That's how they
can't.
talk. That's how they talk in
cannot
your
read
mind.
your thoughts.
I'm going to tell you right now, bro. They have.
I'm telling you right now that I believe the word of God, and they cannot read your thoughts.
Okay,
they might know what you've done.
Where does it say in the word of God, bro?
Are you serious right now?
Where does it say that demons can't read your thoughts? Tell me, please.
It says only God can know my thoughts.
Can know your thoughts. Okay.
So what does that mean?
They communicate in your mind, bro.
They don't know your thoughts.
They communicate in your mind. They know
I
you're
rebuke that in the
bro.
name of Jesus. No, hold on. I literally wholeheartedly rebuke that in the name of Jesus. They cannot read my thoughts.
Well, they
will never read my thoughts.
You can turn them off from reading it, but if you give them permission, they absolutely can.
Okay,
Like
so that's
100%.
different, though. That's different. To give them permission and access to your body and your life and your mind is very different than just saying they can blanketly. You can't be out here scaring people that they can read everyone's thoughts.
No. They can't forcefully come in and read your thoughts. Sure, we'll say this, but I'm going to tell you right now, demons can read people's thoughts. I've seen it happen in front of my face, bro. They know
you can give them access. You can give them access.
And so if you're saying, "Hey, I'm going to transfer my consciousness," and you open yourself up, demon can see what's inside your head, bro. Like demons communicate through your head. That's how aliens talk to people.
If you leave your
they
vessel
talk through your
empty,
mind.
then they can. Who knows exactly what they can do inside?
And it's much easier for them to implant thoughts. It's much easier for them to influence you, talk to you, implant your thoughts.
They can.
But I also
they
do
can
believe
wipe
we
memories.
can give them permission.
I've seen them wipe memories. I've seen them do all kinds of stuff.
The whole idea of MK Ultra, but I was just thinking in the movies, what they often show you. I mean, how many movies have they had, or like Twilight Zone episodes where some guy like lost his arm or something, and then they took an arm from like a cadaver or something like that. It turns out this guy was like a psychopath that they put this arm on, and now the arm is.
And now his arm wants to make him kill people.
Yeah, right. You know what I'm saying? But like that idea that.
Well, that happened in real life. There was a girl who got murdered, I guess, and they took this little girl's heart that was murdered or something.
I remember,
and put it in another girl, and the girl started having dreams about the dude that murdered the other little girl.
Didn't it lead to them catching the person?
Yeah, they ended up catching the dude and confessing, supposedly. I don't know how true the statement is or whatever, but that was literally like reported on, and the little girl, it like actually proved to the dude confessed. The guy confessed. She had visions after getting the other little girl's heart put into her. And so you're like, that's weird, because our memories really stored in the brain, or are they stored in the body?
Well,
in
I
other
think
parts somewhere.
Well, I mean, I know that Vitaly's done a lot of work in the idea that like your soul's in your gut, and so like a lot of your like who you are is not necessarily just your brain; it's more than that. And so the idea of getting an organ transplant really weirds me out now. Like, back in the day, I would have said, like if you need it, you just get it done. But now it's like, is this something that God wants you to do? I mean, what about the idea too that they say that pigs anatomically are very similar to humans, and then them putting a pig heart in somebody? No, I'd rather die. I'd rather die than them put a pig heart in me.
Ooh, I don't know.
Talk about unclean, right? We're talking about you're not even supposed to eat them, but you're going to put one of their hearts in you?
I would be okay with taking a pig heart, but not another person. That would be. I'd be like,
okay, play your Palm Beach.
I'd be more open to the animal.
I've got a really good video about the whole idea of transferring your brain into a different entity, a different vessel.
I'm not Jeffrey Epstein. I'm just Palm Beach Pete. I'm not Jeffrey Epstein. I'm Palm Beach Pete. Nothing to do with Jeff Epstein. I'm Palm Beach Pete, and just wanted to spread positive vibes. Hey everybody, it's Palm Beach Pete in Palm Beach. It's a beautiful sunny day here. I'm so excited to be on Cameo. Hit me up because there's a limited amount of requests. But on a serious note, part of my proceeds will be going to City Parks Foundation, which helps the youth in the New York City region for tennis and learning. Have a great day. I really want to connect with you all out there in the Cameo world.
Let's get some money together and pay for a cameo and have him be make a guest appearance on the next JT's mixtape.
Oh,
yeah, we've got some questions for you, Pete. Okay, check this out. So this is wild because this fits exactly into the idea that taking a brain out of somebody and putting it into a different vessel. And of course, these wicked people in Hollywood, they're putting this into a kid's movie.
Yo, everyone be aware what type of movies they're pushing out now. Even the kid one, Hoppers. Everyone thinks it's like over the hedge type fun movie. Yeah. Damn, you know what it's preaching? It's putting human consciousness into robotic animals. Oh my God, is that what it is?
Created a revolutionary technology that gives us unprecedented access to the animal world. We call it Hoppers. Huh? We put this into this. Yes, this into this. Mabel, be careful! Whoa.
They talk about skin swapping now, right?
Skin swapping?
With Jim Carrey.
Oh,
who got
yeah.
skin swapped.
Oh,
Demi Lovato looks different. Look.
What the
This
hell?
is one
I've heard the
scene.
movie?
This is animals wearing their human skin.
What the heck?
Look.
Whoa.
Right.
Yo, Gavin, no way that's an actual scene.
No, that's a scene, fam. And all man says, oh, it's just a cute little animal movie. No.
That ain't no cute.
Fam, this is probably Jeffrey Epstein right here.
I'm just really scared of what AI is gonna become.
What?
Dude, that's disgusting, man.
How
What
about that?
the-
I mean, I'm telling you, like, is that how much different is that than that article I read?
That's weird.
That's disgusting.
So yeah, so it had like a different level too, where it was okay. So they're creating this robotic animal. They're going to transfer your brain into this robot, but then they're even showing you that the robot is wearing like a mask that resembles a person.
Yeah, why
That's
would they even
weird.
do
That's
that?
that's a lot there for like that weird kids movie.
But you
know,
notice something I noticed in that, and this also goes to kind of what Brian and I were just heatedly talking about, but we talked about it before in the past. And so much of this is based on consent. So much of this is based on giving permission to the demonic. Like, did you notice they told that kid what was happening, and then the kid chose
Yeah, the kid
to put that
like
thing on
before
its
they
head
even
and do it?
explained it all, the kid was already on board and just did it.
Right. And so, like, it really is based on consent. Like, there are rules to it all. Like, there is a hierarchy and there are rules to it all. And that's why it's like, man, it's so much better just to err on the side of caution and to not give people or anyone consent.
You're right. This is what I'll say though. Okay, so there's a demon of fortune telling. Okay, and it's in the Bible. And when Paul casts it out, right,
Yeah,
the woman can't tell
Python.
fortunes. Yeah, she can't tell fortunes anymore. Okay, so like there is an aspect to the demonic realm that we just don't understand, and we try to simplify it and say that we can put limits on it and say what it can and cannot do. But the reality is, man, I've seen stuff that I thought there was no way it could do that, and they've done it. If you give it permission, like in your mind, there's things I've prevented demons from reading my mind. Absolutely, I can stop that. And so, but like I will tell you right now, I've witnessed them like know things about people. Like that there's no freaking way they knew things about other people, about me. I've seen them like know stuff within time. I've seen them know claim to know things in the future that ended up happening with people in situations. And it says that, you know, God actually asked the question. He says, can you tell me the future? Which is to Job, he says, which is a definitive characteristic of a God. He said, tell me if you know the future. Right. And so like these entities have a glimpse into the spiritual realm. In fact, the word demon comes from daemon. It means the ones that know. Okay. They know stuff. They know stuff. I don't know how they know these things.
Well, they could
I don't
know
where
because
they
could
know this
observe
stuff.
you too, though.
They can observe you. And this is the common thought that I thought, is that they were always observing us. And then that was my original view. But dude, when you get to dealing with these entities and you realize they know things about other people and other situations that you don't even, you're like, that are unrelated. And sometimes, and you're just like,
no,
how is
that's
that
why
possible? Some of it.
So the way I see it, like my understanding is this is the way that this is from my personal experience. They're a giant network, like a cell phone
Yeah,
network.
hive mind.
They are a giant network. And so it's not that they're omnipresent. It's just that
No,
there's
of course not.
hundreds of thousands, if not millions
No,
of them
there's definitely millions.
all over the place.
You
They're
think about
watching
it, like,
everything.
if what we believe is accurate about the days of Noah, there would have been millions of giants.
Right. And
They're
they're
definitely
communicating everything, and they're ancient. So they've seen things take place over the hundreds of or thousands of years.
Mhm.
They've watched things, they know things, they understand things. So it's not that they were necessarily in someone's mind so much as, I mean, and they are from an influential perspective, but they literally have cataloged all of these things that they've seen. That's why they do the necromancy stuff. They get information about, they think they're talking to a past relative or whatever. They're not. They're talking to a demon that's literally watched everything their past relative did.
Yeah.
But that's also why, like, there are things that we do in our lives that open the door to open portals and allow them in. There are sins that we commit and enter into. That's why it's so important for believers when they make a mistake to repent and close those doorways and close those portals and pray for them to be closed and to truly repent and turn 180 degrees away from their sin and not do that stuff anymore. Because when you are living in intentional prolonged sin without repentance, you've got a rift wide open for these demons to just play with you, man. They will just toy with you. They will torment you. And I personally believe from my own experience, and I'm not trying to scare anybody. I'm not trying to trip anybody out, but like there are patents that show us they are observing us through our monitors and our computer screens and our telephones and our TVs. And so like for me, when I'm not using my laptop, I shut it down. When I'm not editing on my monitor or using my monitor, I cover it with something. Like I don't allow any of these black screens just to stare at me, while they're plugged into the wall and use it. Like I'm very
devices, technically.
Right. They
That's
absolutely
why
are.
screen.
So
that's where you get the word screen. It's from scrying.
Monitor, because they're monitoring us. So there's so many things. And that's why it's so important to live so intentional, because there are so many different ways we can fall into temptation or fall into sin and be in active open sin that we haven't repented from. And those are all things that give the demonic realm legal rights to harass us, to screw with us, to mess with us, to be, whispering stuff in our ears. To a certain extent, we can't stop them from trying to tempt us and trying to mislead us or whatever. But man, since I started making a bunch of intentional decisions to not allow that stuff in my life's been a lot quieter. My life's been a lot simpler. It's been a lot easier since I've stopped delving into things and trying to learn things that I know I have no business learning or understanding and knowing about. And so, yeah, I have no doubts you've seen and experienced some absolutely crazy things. I've had some of my own personal experiences that were, they could really only be described as demonic. And I've experienced some things that I still don't understand. Like it still doesn't make sense. Like I've had a couple of experiences that were very much like Matrix-y simulation type experiences where I was in the middle of something and I'm just like, dude, I don't know how to reconcile that. Like, I don't know how to reconcile what I just experienced. Like, even with everything I know in scripture, I don't know how to reconcile that.
A lot of that stuff, when you deal with the demonic realm, it feels that way. At a certain point,
Totally.
you think like I thought I knew so much, bro, and now I've come to the point where I'm like, I have no freaking clue, bro. All I know is I know what they can do. I know what I've seen them do, and there's things that I've thought that's not possible. The Bible says this, and then I'm like, okay, maybe I was wrong. It's like, what the heck was that? Like, bro, I've seen stuff to the point where I'm just like, I don't even know, man. I don't even know. But I will tell you, if you wanted to give a demon permission, let's say you were to like, hey, I'm going to pretend to die and go into this new vessel, right? You would just be, then they kill you and they supposedly transfer your consciousness to the new vessel. You would be a human sacrifice, killing you, giving authority and your memories access to a demon that would then take your blood of death as its payment to acquire the new vessel. So if you transfer consciousness to a new vessel, it is more than likely a demon taking over the new vessel, and you were the sacrifice, and it just took all of your memories.
To exist.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
exactly.
I agree
that
with
makes
that.
more sense. But go back to that trailer, to that movie, that the kid was so eager to do it without even learning what the consequences might be.
Creepy.
It definitely seemed like that trying to allegorize the idea of like, this is what people are going to do. Like, this kid is the NPCs. The kid is society, that they'll be like, ooh, I don't want to die. I want to look young. I want to live forever. So therefore sign me up. And then it's like, ooh, this is like the Faustian bargain. Like, you didn't read the fine print. The fine print is where all of the devil's in the details of like what you've actually signed up with, what kind of consent you've given these people over to. Yeah. And more likely, if you sign up for this, it's like, you're just going to end up dead because it's not going to work. And then you're going to go have to meet the Almighty after being willing to do this completely wicked act against God's creation.
And what you find a lot of times, and I know you would agree with this, Brian, what you find a lot of times is the people that are tormented the most have got open doors. They've got open doors and portals have been opened through contracts that they've made with the demonic realm without even realizing it, through sinful acts, through things that they've done, things that they've said, things that they're currently living in, decisions that they've made that they're still doing.
I'll actually tell you the people.
Unforgiveness.
Play a different video, okay? I found this funny, and of course, on this podcast, we enjoy old commercials.
Now Candy Tails is for boys too. Check out those candy dreads. Wow!
Baby jamming with me candy tails. You hear me, Mom?
You hear me, Mom?
I wish I had the original Candy Tails video to play so people would have the context, but yeah.
Well,
yeah,
on that
Candy Dreads.
On that note, I know you used to run, but were you ever involved in a competition like this? And if so, how do you think you would have done?
Okay. Wow.
His legs look unreal. Dude, that's crazy.
I remember at one point in cycling, we were trying to hit like like if you could hit over 200 RPM, that was like super good. Have you seen those guys who are like big time like track cyclists? How many times they can, like when you see somebody spinning out at over 200 RPM, it doesn't look real like that. It doesn't look possible. It looks like it's sped up because it's so ridiculous.
No, I've seen that. I've seen what you're talking about. But what we just watched, there's no way that's not AI.
No, that's real. That's old video. I've seen that before.
You
a long
think
time
that's
ago.
real?
I didn't
that
look
video's
real.
from a long time
Let's
ago.
watch it
bro.
one more time. Let's watch it one more
Bro,
time.
that video's super old. That video's like from.
It doesn't
like,
mean it's not manipulated, Brian. We know that old pictures are manipulated.
But that was before AI was like super popular, and so like.
But you don't need AI just to speed up part of the video.
Yeah, it could have been sped up. Dude, that is insane. It could be fake. You're right. It totally does look fake. But it is an old video.
288 jumps in 10 seconds, dude.
Yeah,
bro, it does look kind of fake.
Yeah, I'm gonna say
it looks.
I think they just sped up him
because 200 RPM would be like. I'm trying to think. Is it so like 200 RPM would be 200 cycling revolutions in like I think like in a minute. So if you could do 288 jumps in 10 seconds, what would that be on a bicycle? That would be like doing like 1,000 RPM.
It's unreal.
That could be totally like he does look a little bit glitchy. Like it looks like it was an edit. It wasn't AI. It was just an edit potentially.
Yeah, I think they just edited him and sped him up. So really quick, I got one more video. I want to circle back to something we opened last week's mixtape with.
Okay.
When we talked about the placebo and we talked about our belief system and we talked about, so this kind of plays into that.
In 1979, a group of frail elderly men were brought to a secluded monastery in New Hampshire. When they stepped out of the van, they were greeted by a Harvard psychologist named Dr. Ellen Langer. She told them that they would be living in this monastery for the next week with 0 outside contact. After the old men struggled to bring their heavy bags inside, they looked around and realized they had just walked into a time machine. Everything inside looked exactly like it was from 20 years ago. There was no modern technology, only vintage TVs, radios, and magazines from the 1950s. There were no mirrors either, only photos of what these men looked like 2 decades ago. Dr. Langer gave them one rule. They had to discuss events from the 50s as if they were happening right now. So for the next week, they talked about Castro coming into power, watching the Ed Sullivan Show, and read 1959 editions of Life magazine. On the final day of the retreat, Dr. Langer saw something incredible. The same men who had arrived 1 week earlier, barely able to walk around without their canes, were now running on the grass playing a game of touch football. They had aged in reverse, and the medical tests proved it. They were taller with stabilized posture. Their fingers had grown because the inflammation causing their arthritis had been reduced. Their hearing and vision had improved, and when strangers were shown the before and after photos, they said the men looked like they were 2 to 3 years younger. Before the experiment, the men had adopted a state of learned helplessness. The world treated them like frail old men who needed constant care and assistance, and so that's how they saw themselves. But within just 1 week of living as if they were younger, their minds commanded their bodies to actually be younger.
How about that?
I can't wait till I'm 80 and we're watching Back to the Future and we're talking about when the Redskins were good. It's going to be epic.
Why wait, man? Why wait? Let's live in the 90s right now.
We can do that retreat right now. I could use if I was a couple years younger in a week, that'd be nice.
Dude, imagine though, like what a great business idea. Like what if you created a place where it was like everything in it was the 80s and the 90s.
They got that. It's called Ready Player One. It's going to be you're going to be in a computer.
No, physical place, and everything in there was all that. The magazines, the TV was on some kind of loop playing like, TGIF shows on it, and like Saturday morning cartoons, and like you go there and stay there for a week, and like every activity you do. Now imagine if there was a whole like city center that was like that, and everything you did in that whole place, like you had to dress like it. The stores were like that. Like it was just like a little mini time capsule.
Set in a mall.
Can't tell me that. You can't. Yeah, exactly. You can't tell me that wouldn't be rejuvenating.
I mean, like just the idea of exploration, like going through, like trying to explore things is going to activate the mind, which is going to create that sort of space of like, what else is here? Oh my gosh, remember this? And it's going to create excitement, and the excitement is going to generate a different sort of sensation and feeling, which is going to play off of the thought that you're more capable. And it's like literally a big psychological thing, which the mind is so powerful. People don't realize the mind creates all of the things. So like if you have sickness in your body, like let's say you have a cancer growing in your body, your mind is what grew the cancer. Your mind is what sent the wrong signals to your cells that produced the wrong chemicals that created the cancer that's growing in your body. It all starts with your perspective of yourself. That's why it's like,
our acceptance changes the way we speak, and then we start cursing ourselves with the things that we speak and the things that we accept. And it's like, so
and when you feel gross or you feel yucky and you think yucky, guess what? The yucky makes its way into your body some way. And so when you stop thinking that way and you start thinking positive, it does affect you drastically.
Yeah, so you keep yourself in a happy, pleasant environment where you're loved, you're seen different, you see things
different. The 1950s were probably so much better than today.
Oh man, dude, I can't even imagine.
Israel just became a nation. Like, oh man. They didn't have all the authority and perversion in our society.
No, I mean, the 1950s probably were just again, we talked about those old movies or old TV shows, and it was so much more of an innocent time. Not necessarily everything was good, but I mean, compared to today, night and day. All right. I teased the idea. We got to talk about the moon landing because they're going back. And I always have to remind people again. So Artemis started in 2017. And so in 9 years, they're just going to fly by it. But supposedly in the 60s, within 8 years of the starting of the Apollo program, they landed 2 people on the moon, supposedly. And my favorite topic about the phony moon landing is got to be the telephone call between Richard Nixon and the astronauts on the moon.
Oh my gosh.
So let's watch a little bit of video about that.
Neil and Buzz, the President of the United States is in his office now and would like to say a few words to you. Over. That would be an honor. Go ahead, Mr. President. This is Houston out.
Hello, Neil and Buzz. I'm talking to you by telephone from the Oval Room at the White House. And this certainly has to be the most historic telephone call ever made. I just can't tell you how proud we all are.
You know what's funny about that? So if you see in this picture right here, you notice this, that if you go over here, Nixon has got a picture of the moon's surface with the Earth behind it. Did you guys ever notice that?
Right, as if we had already been there and taken a picture from the moon.
I never noticed that. That's hilarious.
So this is what they say is that, because they did do flybys before, but I mean that looks like it's taken from the moon's surface, just like the picture that when you see when they're quote unquote on the moon.
That's funny.
But it's the exact same picture. It's the exact same, what they call it, the Terminator line of like the moon where it's the Earth where it's in the dark, and it looks exactly the same. So you're telling me it's kind of like that. I guess it's possible that if we were doing something outside and it was under the moonlight and you could see the moon in the background, and then we did it again in, I don't know, a month or 2 months, the moon looks exactly the same. Like it has not changed as far as like the cycle of the moon. It's the exact same look to it. Nixon has got that picture of the Earth on with the moon. It looks like it's from the surface of the moon. The picture's taken.
There's so many holes. There's so many holes in that story.
It's
Like,
such a funny thing, though.
Dude, it's so ridiculous. I think it was 1999. So like I was still in high school when it was the summer of 1999 when somebody that I knew posed the possibility to me that was faked. And I remember until that moment, I had never thought about anything like that. I was in high school, right? Like I wasn't really thinking about the big picture stuff. But when he posed it and then he started like posing different questions, I was just like, wait, what? And he was telling me these stories about like his brother-in-law. So he was a guy that I had met in the band that I was in. We had done some summer touring, and he was in another bigger band, and he was older and he was married, and they were really cool guys. And his brother-in-law was one of those guys that would go out, and he would, back then, before GPS and all that stuff, and he would find these places. He found this place in Arizona that was only talked about in books. And he got like a canoe and went down this riverbank and went up to this place where some famous battle took place. And they only talked about the battle, but like no one had ever, like it wasn't marked off or anything. And he ended up going up and finding this area where this battle had taken place. And evidently there was a standoff between like the cavalry and the Native Americans. The Native Americans were up in the cave, and the cavalry ended up going around, hiking up the mountain and dropping a boulder down onto this ledge in the cave, and it rolled backwards into the cave and crushed all the Native Americans. And his buddy actually went up in there and found all of the stuff in there. So like he was one of those guys that just like he would go out and try to figure out what was real. I thought you were going to say
he went where they filmed the moon landing.
No, but what I'm trying to say though is that like he found for himself that like the story wasn't told correctly. Like where it took, like he was able to find out like where it took place and the different things that were going on, but like there was flaws and holes in the story because he went out and figured it out on his own. This is back when there was a bunch of undiscovered stuff, which I would imagine most of these things have been discovered and found and sectioned off by now. But he got him thinking about like the true narrative of what's real and what's not.
He
what
learned
the textbooks say
that the mainstream stories are a bunch of lies.
Totally. So that was the first like worm that was planted, so to speak, about questioning all of these things. And dude, it did to the point where I remember when 9/11 happened in real time, watching it unfold and going, dude, there's no way this is what they're telling us.
Nuh-uh. Okay.
There's no way.
Check this out. So I think one of the more interesting parts about the moon landing, about how funny it is it when you see the big piece of crap, the lunar lander, the
tinfoil, literally.
It's made of tinfoil. It's got these panels that look like it's got gaps all in it. And so I guess the way that they say, what they say is that, so they have this thing that's orbiting the moon, and then the lunar lander, I guess, comes off of that and then lands to the surface of the moon. But where did the little dune buggy that they got, how did that get down there?
Where'd that come from?
Okay,
right.
Watch. This thing is just funny when you watch the video of it. And I think that's the funnier part. One of my old videos about this was saying, you believe this because you seen in the videos, but I mean, have you actually really closely examined the videos? Because they look really stupid when you watch them with a critical eye.
Driving on the moon.
Man, you are really fast. To the underground at all 10 kilometers. He's got about 2 wheels on the ground, and the big rooster tail had all 4 wheels. And as he turns, he skids.
Okay, look, I'm going to pause it. That's the lunar lander right there.
It's definitely slow motion looking.
Right, yeah, I'll keep playing it.
Back in, brakes loose just like on snow. Come on back, John. The deck is running. Man, I'll tell you, you've never seen a driver like this.
I mean, I don't know about you guys, but is there any doubt in your mind that that's not just on Earth and that's in slow motion? It's like so obvious that this is not full speed, and so it's the moon dust is behaving just like sand or dirt.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
It's slowly falling, but they're going in slow motion because the video is in slow motion.
Yeah, I 100% believe we've never been to the moon. I 100%
But just
do not believe
I know,
any
but
of
that video
stuff.
though. I mean, am I wrong? I mean, Brian, you said the same thing.
No, I
it
see
looks
exactly
like it's in
what
slow
you're saying.
motion.
Yes,
it's definitely slow motion looking.
But did you see when it went by the lunar lander, and it's almost as big as the thing they flew in? Like, where is that thing strapped to? You know, supposedly they left that thing up on the moon.
Their cart.
And who filmed them? Who filmed them dropping?
It
like
was a
making
robot.
Their first descent. Yeah, of course.
That's what they say.
There's the famous video of Buzz Aldrin on Conan O'Brien, and Conan O'Brien saying, "I remember when we saw," and he's like, "No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
Yeah, he goes, "No, you didn't."
He's like, "Because it was animation. What you saw," he said, "what you heard was me talking." And so what he was referencing specifically, he was talking about that all these, news networks came up with animation to go along with the audio. So Buzz Aldrin is not saying that it was all fake. He's saying like that they recreated this and they were linking it up with his audio that was real.
Wait,
they were
I
really
got that
on the
video.
moon. But the funny part about it, I was thinking about that so the question has been from many skeptics like myself, who took the video of Neil Armstrong getting out of the lunar lander?
Exactly.
And so what they say is there was some kind of a camera strapped to one of the legs or something. Okay, but if that's true, why didn't they broadcast why wasn't that filming them land? Right? Because if it's on the leg, like they could have filmed the whole thing.
Yeah, why didn't we see more footage from that exact spot?
You would have had footage from all over the moon because they would have been able to film while it was landing.
Have you guys seen?
You know what I'm saying? Because they're saying, because that's what they're saying is like that they strapped this camera to the leg of the lunar lander. So the point is, when it's landing, they could have actually had the video, but Buzz Aldrin's saying you didn't see that because there was no one to film it. So he's kind of saying that no, there was not a camera strapped to the lunar lander. So who's taking any of the videos?
Have you guys seen the test footage of them testing the lunar lander? Like, to me, that was just what sealed the deal for everything. Dude, it's just wiggling around like it's like one of those old, like, remember those rockets you'd fill with water, you'd pump them up and then you'd release them? It was like it's like that. It's all wiry in the air. It's like not balanced. It's all like, as soon as I saw the test footage for them trying to fly the lunar lander and it being so squirrely and absolutely uncontrollable, I was like, why would they even release this? It's totally damning.
It's totally
It's
fake.
insane.
Okay. Have you guys seen this dude, the French dude? He made a good video.
I think I saw his video on X yesterday.
Dude, it's so good. We got to play it. Like, it's like,
oh my God.
Like, bro, it's obviously a Falcon. Look at that. This is the Mars rover draws this, guys. Look at this. Look, like, what is this? And like, bro, he left some stuff out. I'm going to include some things he left out. The Blue Origin. Come on, guys. It's literally got what is that on the microchip? This is literally what they drew on this.
L'espace est un prank et le lancement d'Artemis 2 est prévu demain pour le poisson d'avril. La première photo officielle de la Terre a aussi été prise le 1er avril 1960. Ça fait plus de 50 ans qu'ils se payent votre tête avec des images de synthèse. Jack Parsons, un des vrais fondateurs de la NASA, était un sorcier du sexe. Il faisait des rituels d'orgie pour invoquer Babylone et féconder ses fusées pour qu'elles percent le firmament. Pour eux, c'est un rituel de renaissance et de domination. Une fusée est un phallus géant. Le lancement est une pénétration cosmique. Et la Lune symbolise le cycle féminin. NASA en hébreu signifie séduire et décevoir. Donc les astronautes sont des humoristes.
You guys land on the moon,
No,
which
you
was
didn't. No, you didn't.
what?
So you watched animation.
We did go there.
Mais vous avez été tellement conditionnés à y croire que même quand ils avouent ouvertement, vous ne voyez rien.
Dude, that was such a good video put together, bro.
Yeah, I knew a couple about a few of the phallic symbols, but that was pretty funny, the thing on Mars.
Dude, he left a few things out even. So for instance, it's called SpaceX because it's space sex. That's literally what Elon even said. And he even named his cars Model S, Model E, Model X, and Model Y. Okay, because it's sexy. Like literally that's why he named the cars that. And so that's why it's called SpaceX. And the other thing he left out is like Ball is like the Hubble spacecraft is Hubal. Okay, it's Hubal, which is the deity that was worshipped inside of its Hubble. Is Hubal is the deity worshipped in the black cube over the Muslims before they took it over. And it's like that's the same entity. It's like it's a demonic entity, and then all the names of it are this way, but it's all related to, which is like the Muslim. It's like it's obviously a sex cult. It's all there's so many things tethered to sexual perversion. It's just like, yeah. Anyways,
Well, of course, the connection with Jack Parsons, who was a straight up Satanist, he was a Thelemite from Crowley. He was like connected with Crowley, and Parsons was also connected with L. Ron Hubbard. And so you got these guys who are Thelemites, and then so L. Ron Hubbard starts this religion that's based on science fiction because he was a science fiction writer before. So you really think about it, going all the way back to Crowley, and he's got this idea about this entity called Lamb. Now we call them angels and demons. One day they're going to call them something else, and he's connected with all these people. Parsons, he's where we get JPL from, the Jet Propulsion Lab. So where this is what powers NASA's rockets. And if you read about Jack Parsons, yeah, they were doing the Babylon working where they were doing sex magic rituals to open a portal for the Whore of Babylon. And what was it? I want to say I read something where he was saying he was doing daily worship, daily sacrifice or something, worship to Apollo, to the sun god.
dude.
So this guy is connected with that. So give me a break. Give me a break. This is not all fake. You know what's interesting? I want to say that there was a video. Gosh, I wish I could find this thing. It was a long time ago. I saw it. This guy had a YouTube channel, I think, and he was some kind of wildlife guy. He might have been like the snake guy or something, like the python guy. And he was going and looking for snakes in Florida. So he stumbled upon this old abandoned JPL lab. And when he found it, there was all kinds of evidence of all kinds of satanic rituals going on in there. And so, of course, at the time I thought, oh, well, Satan has moved into there. But the truth is, Satanists were in there the whole time. So maybe things weren't that much different. Maybe whatever evidence he found of satanic stuff happening there was not actually after it was abandoned. Maybe it was while it was running and it was working for NASA. I got a couple more videos. At least I got at least 2 more moon videos. Of course, this one, everybody knows this one, but I think it's still worth playing. The wind on the moon. That thing is waving like crazy right there.
Okay, that's good.
They do have, it is a pole that goes out to the right. So it goes up and then out, but then the waving is not just him.
That's wind, dude. Am I wrong about that? That seems like that's...
That's definitely wind.
Well, yeah. So wait, doesn't that kind of contradict too? Like, if you had some kind of blast off, it's like, if there's no atmosphere there, would there be
particles are going to be pushed to push the wind?
But I guess that's another one of the clues that it was fake. Is that when you see like the lander going up, or even when it's landing, there's no indentation from like this giant engine that's powering, that's powering this propulsion. And what was the other thing is the fact that the way that the lunar lander is so small, you got this massive jet engine under it. You know how loud that would be? And they're talking to people, they're talking to Houston during this whole thing. It's preposterous. So that they didn't leave any kind of marks from scar the moon's surface when they shot a rocket off of it, right off the ground.
Pretty silly.
What I don't understand is, I mean, in addition to all of the weird physics things, when they tell us that space is a vacuum and then they show us things like that, and then of course there's the magic burst that takes place when it blasts off, right? And you see all the
sparkles,
pixie dust flying all over the screen. Yeah. What I don't understand is why the same organization whose name literally is to deceive, the translation,
NASA,
right? Why they would expose themselves years later, and it's not just one video. I think there's been either 2 to 4 videos exist. I know for sure 2 exist of different people from NASA talking about having to solve the Van Allen belt problem and saying that they're still trying to figure out how to get past the Van Allen belt. And it's like, why would you even have that conversation openly and publicly and on video and release it from official NASA websites and through official NASA channels when y'all are still trying to get us to believe that was solved back in the 60s when we got past the Van Allen belt?
Supposedly 5, well, actually more than 5 times, because what the story is that they landed on the moon, people on the moon 5 different times. So how many other times did they, so even like Apollo 13 was supposedly got to the moon, right? But they didn't, Houston, we have a problem, so they didn't land on it. But they still got past the Van Allen belt. And of course, I already showed you what they say is that picture that Nixon had in his office was when a previous moon mission where they took a picture of it, but they did not land on it. So how many times did they go all the way to the moon, past the Van Allen belt in the 60s and early 70s?
Right. Until they released, I think the first video was in the 90s where they publicly said that we had to solve the Van Allen belt problem. And then again, I believe in the early 2000s, I think was the other one that I saw.
Well, it's like a situation where somebody asked me about how can everybody not know who works at NASA? But NASA being this massive organization, and it's very compartmentalized. So one hand doesn't know what the other hand is doing. And what they say is that these people at NASA who are like in the control center, they don't know the difference between a real launch and a simulation. So you could imagine that maybe some people who are working there don't even know, but they know that there's this issue there somewhere up in the quote unquote atmosphere or past it. I don't know, that they know they have to figure this out, but they don't know that that's potentially a solid firmament up there. They don't know what it is.
Right.
I still believe that part of what the Van Allen belt could be might not necessarily be the firmament. It might be like some kind of electromagnetic field that's up in like the ether that's up
right before you even hit
before you get there.
Yeah.
Check this out. You got a video?
Well, I was just gonna play what we were just talking about.
We are headed 3,600 miles above Earth, 15 times higher from the planet than the International Space Station. As we get further away from Earth, we'll pass through the Van Allen belts, an area of dangerous, radiation. Radiation like this could harm the guidance systems, onboard computers, or other electronics on Orion. Naturally, we have to pass through this danger zone twice, once up and once back. But Orion has protection. Shielding will be put to the test as the vehicle cuts through the waves of radiation. But Orion has protection. Shielding will be put to the test as the vehicle cuts through the waves of radiation.
But Orion has protection. Shielding will be put to the test as the vehicle cuts through the waves of radiation.
Sensors aboard will record radiation levels for scientists to study. We must solve these challenges before we send people through this region of space. We must solve these challenges before we send people through this region of space.
We must solve these challenges before we send people through this region of space.
So it's so obvious.
We must solve these challenges before.
And so what year was that video from?
I think that was like 2001.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
Well,
it's pretty comical.
Supposedly, I guess they've got it solved if they're going, today. But
they must have figured it out instantly overnight without telling anyone.
Yeah, you think that would have been a big announcement if they were already publicly saying they couldn't do it in the early 2000s.
Do you remember that video that China released of the Tianzhao 9 scraping upon the firmament? I mean, guys, it's so unbelievably obvious. They put it on mainstream television that the rockets don't actually go straight up. They always follow an arched trajectory. And then once they reach a certain level in the atmosphere, they tend to scrape something. I mean, this is in like every single rocket video ever. If you actually have a full video of it launching and then going up into the upper atmosphere. Now let's watch this one. This is probably like 37,000 feet in the air. I'm assuming he's in an aircraft. Well, look at that. It's starting to follow an arched trajectory. Man, I wonder why. Probably because no one can go past the Van Allen belts. And apparently there's 7 layers of the Van Allen belts. You know, like the 7 layers of the firmament? So in the globe model, it's the Van Allen belts. But on the flat Earth model, the true Earth model, it's the firmament, the layers of the firmament. The rocket cannot go past it. Which is why Elon Musk has to make all of his fancy rocket landing videos from AI. Just pay attention to them. The lighting's off, it looks like Ratchet and Clank, and all of the videos and pictures of rockets actually in outer space are CGI. But this video was for entertainment purposes only.
See, that's the thing. Now I'm starting to believe that when these rockets are going up and they're showing all that light burst coming off them, they're not scraping against the firmament. They're going, again, I guess that's when you get into semantics about like, when most of us think of the firmament in like this community, we're thinking the solid dome part. But I guess firmament can be interchangeably used in translations for heaven. So we're talking about the 7 layers of heaven. But then we believe that there's something that's enclosing the whole thing in. Now, I don't think it's scraping against a clear or blue crystal dome. I think that the water-like motion, what if that is? It's what happens when it interacts in a certain part of the ether that is like some kind of a liquid-like substance up there. It sure seems like the videos, it looks like a ski boat up there. The trail.
It's obviously it's a dome shape, but I agree with that. I think it's made up of things that we maybe just don't fully understand, that we just can't penetrate. Like we can't get through. We don't know how to get through it, but it's dense. I don't necessarily think it's like a hard shell. So I agree with that. I think that it could be like,
well, I think that there's a hard shell up there, but I don't think that they're hitting.
There might be.
They're not hitting. I don't think that they're hitting.
They're not even getting to that.
No, they're not getting to that. But again, it's funny, like even if you really think about it, even with biblical cosmology, let's just say that the moon is something that could be landed on. It's physical. It's, I tend to go with the idea that it's a reflection of something, or it could be plasma. So I don't know that it's physical, like that you could be stably land on. But let's just say for argument's sake that you could. it look, the biblical cosmology says that it's inside this thing. So you don't have to get past the dome to land on the moon.
Right.
So the real trick is like, how high up is it? How high is it?
Well,
it's probably past that ether zone though, that you'd have to go through it.
Like it's in an untouchable realm, but obviously still within the dome. So like, I guess to formulate what I'm thinking, have you guys seen that video? And I'm sure you have. There's a video doing something similar to what I was talking about wanting to do with you guys, but they send a rocket up into the air and they have GoPros all over it.
You're talking about the one that like hits something and just stops?
It hits something, you kind of hear a loud noise, but you also see condensation on the screens when it hits it. I don't think it hit the dome. I think it hit some kind of a barrier. Like it hit something that it couldn't go past anymore. Like I think that there's like a protective layer. I don't know if it's an energetic protective layer, like you're talking about through the ether or whatever. But I think that there's multiple layers. It could also be like there could be some kind of
water.
It does.
It definitely looks like water.
So it feels like there's like an energetic layer, like where all of the energy like collects, and then that is like before the water, and then it feels like there's like dense water up there, and then the dome would be like after that, which I don't think anyone's ever gotten to. But it feels like what it hits is water, because think about it also this way: it doesn't shatter when it hits. It doesn't. So if it could hit something hard, it would have shattered. Those cameras wouldn't have, like, it would have crumpled against something hard. So it looks like and seems like it's hitting something soft enough to absorb the blow, but dense enough to stop it completely in its tracks.
Yeah, which would make sense if it was hitting water at that. I mean, because it's kind of like if you sent the same rocket straight into the ocean, like the impact would be enough to just destroy it, even though obviously water's not that dense. But at that speed it would be like hitting concrete.
Yeah. But dude, we got to run some of our own tests, man. I really want to send our own stuff up. I really
got a friend
do.
that's like a rocket dude, and I'll hit him up and be like, "Hey, bro, like I have another friend that worked for JP Laboratory as well. I'll
ask them what the minimum materials it would cost. Like seriously, see if they can put together a list of like the minimum of what it would cost.
Yeah.
Yes,
dude, I'll ask them, because like if they're like, yeah, it would cost this much, and we can like GoFundMe and just have them build it for us.
1,000,000%. Dude, it can't cost more than a couple grand, and we send our own rocket up there, some GoPros, some different cameras on there, a 360 cam maybe. And get let's get footage that no one else has got before, and so we can see for ourselves. And that would be amazing.
I'm totally down. I'll see. I'll ask him and see what it's going to take.
Too.
Okay, I got one more moon landing video, or fake moon landing video, and this one is about, again, that when people say, again, how do we know? Because these people would tell you, maybe they do tell you through their body language, in the odd way they behave after they've done what no man has done before.
How proud they are in their body language.
But guys, did you see the post-flight press conference when they supposedly got back from the moon?
It's our privilege today to share with you.
Have you seen 3 more depressed guys than these guys?
The details of that final month of July.
Does it look like they just did what no man had done before?
Certainly the highlight for the 3 of us of that decade. We're going to divert a little bit from the format of past press conferences and talk about the things that interested us most, in particular the things that occurred on and about the moon.
This looks like a hostage video.
We will use...
Contrast this video with the pre-flight video. Something's off.
Take a look. Or maybe we'd go the other way.
Do me a believe, President.
Mike? My wife and children have signed a statement that they have no germs and...
Maybe because before the mission, they thought they were actually going to the moon. After the mission, they realized they didn't go. and they were never going to go. But that's just me, guys.
Yeah, I firmly believe that they didn't know it was all a hoax and it wasn't going to be real until the final moments.
They were hypnotized, I think. I think they were
But
put under hypnosis.
Those are looks of shame. Like, those guys are absolutely ashamed. And the kicker is when the guy on the far right, the balding guy,
Yeah,
when they asked
was that
him if
Alan, was that Alan Shepard or something? Maybe
I
not.
don't remember, but they asked if he could see stars from the moon, and he gives an answer that you can tell was off script, and then like Neil Armstrong looks at him like, "What are you doing, dude? What are you doing? What are you saying?" Like, he gives him this look like, "Shut your mouth."
Well, it's funny because they said we're going to go away from our normal thing and just tell you what we thought was the most, because it was like, because they didn't want people to ask them questions and their questions to not corroborate. So it's like very obvious that they were under some kind of depression or depressed state or unaware of
Total
certain
shame, dude.
aspects. I don't know if it was necessarily shame, if it was much as hypnosis.
Again, it looked like
it could be hypnosis though.
I'm going to stand by
That's
my
what I
statement. It looks like a hostage video.
It does.
It looks like
Yeah,
they were forced
yeah.
to go out there and talk about it. Yeah, and I think it is really telling that they were going to divert from their typical way that they did the press conferences, not all the backslapping, just joking around, that they were going to talk and they were not really fielding questions like they did before.
Yeah.
And also,
Yeah.
it was Michael Collins, not Alan Shepard. I want to see Alan Shepard might have been supposedly the first guy in American astronaut in space. It doesn't got to suck to be the third guy, because it's like, so he's like, again, nobody knows his name. Everyone forgets his name. But what's interesting about that, again, the idea that it is shame, that I want to say that Neil Armstrong, besides that interview back, he only did one other interview, I think. You guys can look this up. I'm pretty sure about this, that he only did one interview ever about being the first man to walk on the moon, besides that press conference.
Well, you know the clip of supposedly the film director, what's his name?
Stanley Kubrick.
Stanley Kubrick in the drunken stupor video where he was like recorded talking about the whole
People
situation.
all say that's fake, though, Brian.
Yeah, people say it's fake, and it might be, but the guy is doing hypnosis, but to
I don't
him
think it's
as
fake.
well. And in that clip, he actually talks about Neil Armstrong feeling guilty about it not going to the moon, and the reason why he didn't say or whatever. And he said something else about him, like being told that, yes, right now we're faking it because we need to get there, but we're gonna get there. And so he was given the promise to fake it, that we are gonna get there though. So don't worry about it. We just pretend and go along with it while we're still working on it. We just had to present and show face so that way people don't think that we're failures. And so like he was given an excuse to pretend to go along with it. So it's possible that they're all being told that like, just pretend and go along with it, and it's all right because we're not there yet, but we're going to get there. Don't worry.
What was the movie that came out? Was it 2 years ago? Do you guys remember that? It had Channing Tatum in it, and it had was it Scarlett Johansson? And it was something about that, how they were going to fake going to the moon.
Well, yeah, that one. It was, they made that movie where they literally faked the moon landing movie.
Yeah, Channing Tatum was playing Neil Armstrong, right? And they were going to fake going to the moon.
What happened to that movie?
I don't know. I guess I never watched it. I guess I was like, yeah, we obviously know that's fake. But
yeah, everybody was like, yeah, of course.
Let me show you the moment where he makes a comment and Neil Armstrong looks at him like, "Shut your mouth."
Yeah, do that.
It's a really quick.
We were never able to see stars from the lunar surface or on the daylight side of the moon by eye without looking through the optics.
Even Collins, who was left orbiting the moon while the other two descended on the surface, does not remember seeing a single star.
I don't remember seeing any.
The way he looks at him, dude. He looks at him like, no one told you to talk.
Remember seeing a single star.
I don't remember seeing any.
Dude.
He's like, you're giving away the game.
Man. Yeah, he's like, nobody told you to talk, dude. You're just an extra here.
It's a situation, where they always say that, I think actually Judge Judy said this famously. I don't know if she's the first person to say this. Probably not. But she says, if you're going to be a liar, you better have a good memory.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Exactly
so it makes sense that, especially when you're talking about 3 guys who are going to lie. Do you remember also in The Unforgiven, was it Gene Hackman was questioning the women, and he was questioning Morgan Freeman? And he's like, I'm going to go see, I'm going to talk to them, and I'm going to see if your lies line up with their lies. If you don't, I'm not going to hurt them, I'm going to hurt you.
Yep.
Because, yeah, it's a situation, like that. I want to say that there's been both accounts from different astronauts when they were, quote unquote, in space. One of them was talking about was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen with all the stars. And then Michael Collins is saying, I don't remember seeing any stars.
I don't remember seeing anything.
What do you mean don't remember? That could go right to what Brian was saying. Like, I don't remember going to the moon at all. I don't remember any of this stuff. We're going to just let Neil talk.
It's hypnosis, man. I'm telling you, they're all hypnotized.
Well, I think it's certainly a situation where these guys, I mean, again, the MK Ultra program started off with POWs. And then the next people they used it on was our own military. So you imagine like what it takes to be, quote unquote, an astronaut, like what they did to these guys to make them capable, or the people that were best suited to go and quote unquote to space.
Well, and it's also possible that it's both, right? It's also possible that they hypnotized Collins and the other dude, but not Neil Armstrong. And they were like, hey, we need you to spearhead this. Like, we need you to control this narrative. So you're going to be the spokesperson. You're going to say these things. Because his response of saying, I don't remember seeing anything, it did seem authentic. Like, it seemed like he seemed concerned that he didn't remember anything. Right? It didn't seem like he was trying to throw a wrench in things, like intentionally.
Well, is it a situation as well that just because you hypnotize a person doesn't not necessarily mean it's foolproof? Like,
no,
maybe maybe it didn't work as good on Neil, and Neil's like, he knows it's wrong. He knows there's something off about it. He knows he didn't go.
It doesn't work on everybody the same. And it depends on the level of trauma that the person's experienced, and depends on the level of acceptance that the person's willing to receive. So it's like they after they've been hypnotized, there's like the demon's gone in and messed with their mind, and there's like part of them that like doubts, but it's like you're playing through these fuzzy realities of like whether you're in a dream world or not. So that's probably why, Neil never did another interview. He probably was like, something's off.
Because, dude, they could have easily put them in a simulation, right? They could have strapped them in and made them think they were going to the moon.
And then told them they were hypnotized.
Through the screen they're looking at is like some pre-rendered thing, and then they insert some gas into where their chamber, and they're knocked out all of a sudden, and then they run all their MK Ultra stuff on them. Like, dude, we have no idea the reality. I bet if we could be a fly on the wall and see the actual reality, we'd probably be gasping.
Yeah, check this out. I'll just play this just we mentioned it.
NASA needs a marketing specialist, and you are the best.
The Mustang Fastback, 355 horses for him, seat belts for the family. Just lucky that my water didn't break in there. Hi, Ron.
Why sell cars when you could think bigger?
Fly me to the moon.
Liftoff. We have liftoff.
You must be the launch director.
You're the killer from Manhattan. Change plans. Now that we know the whole world will be watching, we need backup of the moon landing.
You mean to fake it?
What?
No one can ever know what we're doing.
I cannot accept that.
They will shoot you.
What is my budget?
Well, 11 is a go for launch.
Places, everyone, look sharp.
If you fake this mission, everything that we have sacrificed will have been for nothing. 5. This order from the tippy top. 4.
We can't cross the wall but dream.
3. Going around the corner, we'll see you on the other side. 2.
And action.
I want you to walk as if you're carrying your mother. She's frail, but also heavy.
Fly me to the moon.
See, even that is a psyop. It's a psyop of a psyop, because the reality is it wasn't like that. It wasn't like that at all. They were like Aaron was saying, bro, like they were in a set. I think they were hypnotized. I think they were told that they were in that thing, because they believe it. These people believe it. They were told that you're on the moon. You can't leave this vessel.
Buzz Aldrin doesn't know what to believe.
Yeah, exactly. They were told
Exactly.
that they were in that location, and then they made a set. And
they had a separate thing being filmed.
Yeah, but
they said sleep.
You know what
made
me
they put
think
them
of
out,
this, though?
and they put them under, and that was it.
But what this makes me think of is the idea that they were still taking a rocket up. And then Neil Armstrong didn't know that they weren't actually going to go. And then, like, you could imagine, like, let's just say they just strapped these guys into some rocket. They sent them up there. And then they said, abort, we're not doing this. And then eventually he gets back and it's like, it's been on the news that they went to the moon.
Huh.
You know, because you can kind of see how, like, the Channing Tatum role is like, you're going to wreck this if you fake this. And so he gets back and he realized, hey, you went to the moon, Neil. Everybody's patting him on the back. And he's like, what did they do while we were gone? They said we went, and now I've got to sell it.
That makes sense. If they would have launched them and like knocked them out somehow, or which would have been so easy, or put them in a chamber that never even took off,
Yeah,
right?
I think they put him in a clone chamber.
Yeah, or they quarantined him
And that's
someplace, and they said, hey, we're actually going to do this later. And then when they got out of quarantine, they found out they went to the moon, and they're like,
dude,
no,
I think they put him in a room, and the hypnotist came in and said, sleep. And then they moved them all into an identical chamber and said, you walked up the ladder. And they practiced them walking up the ladder and going into it. So they had that memory there. And they told them they did it.
And it only worked on
wake
Buzz.
up. They wake up, and they all wake up, and they're in this fake little
and
pod.
only for 20 years.
It only worked on Buzz, but that's what I'm saying. But I
years.
think the thing is like, it only worked on Buzz because Buzz is the only one who acts like they went to the moon. Because I don't think I've ever seen Michael Collins being interviewed. It's always Buzz. Neil doesn't do interviews like that. And Neil seems like...
It doesn't work the same on everyone.
Well, I'm just saying, like, the point is it makes sense to me, like, why he was acting the way he was at the press conference. And he didn't want the other guys to talk. He was doing all the talking, and he was very upset. And
Buzz later admitted to a little girl that they didn't go.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I'm saying like not go.
Well, that's because the hypnotist is wearing off. The hypnosis wore off a little bit, like through that
Buzz's
mindset process.
brain is fried.
Yeah,
Buzz
by MK Ultra.
Yes, yeah, that's what's happening.
Well, anyways, guys, on that note, we're just going to end it there. You guys let us know what you guys think. How did they fake it? And why were the reactions as such? But guys, if you really enjoy these podcasts and you guys want to watch these episodes early and uncensored, please consider supporting this podcast on Patreon. Also, check out the sponsor of this podcast, Modern Roots Life. Keep yourself healthy and support a podcast and my good friend, Josh Truex. That'd be great. Also, you can grab a t-shirt if you guys like. I'm considering making some more and potentially maybe some fake moon landing shirts for...
Yeah. We'll have them up. We'll have them up on demonracers.com. We're going to have the new JT follows JC / Demon Racers.
Yeah, wait for this one. This one's coming. You guys will enjoy this. We'll give you a teaser later. Also, if you're considering making content, check us out on the Echoes of Truth Network. Check us out. If you guys got a message, you don't know how to say it, maybe we can potentially help you say it. And, you know, all the things. Guys, regardless if you can't support this podcast in any other way other than just watching and listening, please consider liking, sharing, subscribing, all the things. We love you guys. See you next time, and God bless.
JT's mixtape, now a show about history, faith, and truth, with the sound and the conversation we've never heard before. JT's mixtape, now there's a podcast that has exactly what we've been looking for all of us who will not compromise. Listen, JT created mixtape for us. Woo!